ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first official episode of the Miss Media podcast. My name is Miss Media. I do YouTube videos. Basically, I do gaming, I do anime content, I do regular media content, but I haven't been doing a lot of regular media content, and I wanted to do something for this channel in terms of, actual content and not just gaming. So this is what I decided to do. And the thing is, I was originally going to wait till the end of the year to do movie reviews, but I decided that I'm not going to actually do that. I'm going to basically do it in a podcast format, because originally this was supposed to be a movie reviewing show, basically kind of like cinematic excrement. Except I don't want to deal with the copyright algorithm, and I don't like having to edit or do clips or anything like that. So basically this is just going to be a thing where I do mostly shitty content. Like I'll pick a movie and I'll watch it and I'll find out and I'll go through everything that I like, that I don't like, the usual stuff about that I do on the anime channel. Except with this one, I don't think I'm going to do more than one movie at one time. So I'm just going to pick one movie and I'm going to go through it. And I'm also obviously going to go through and I'm going to do the roundup of every movie I've seen starting next month. Well, I've already seen a few movies, so I'm just going to, I'll briefly go over those in a minute. But basically, that's what this going to be that's what this is going to be. I will also do other content, like I'll do cartoons, I'll do live action shows, but basically, in order to keep this channel from being cluttered by a lot of different content, this is going to be the format for how I do my reviews and how I do all kinds of other anything to do with actual media that is not me playing games, basically. And I'm announcing now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this month or next month. I am revamping I know I just revamped my channel, but basically this channel is going to be the gaming channel, and the other channel is going to be the channel where I actually put, content and actual stuff that I do in terms of reviews and going over anime. And basically the media content's going to be on one channel and the gaming content is going to be on the other channel, so that way I can have a clear-cut differentiation between what the two projects. And that's basically it. So to start with, I'm gonna go over the couple of movies that I've seen, because I was gonna, as I said, I was gonna do this at the end of the year, but I just decided I don't have the memory for that. I don't have the memory to go over all of the movies I've seen in an entire fucking year. And also, I want to be able to include anime movies in that, and I want to be able to just, go over pretty much everything. So basically, starting in January, I saw Scream 5. I'd already seen the first 4 movies. The first movie, if you guys don't know, is one of my favorite slasher movies of all time, because I am very picky when it comes to slasher movies. I don't like a lot of the movies that have come out over the last few decades. I am one of few people who did not like Halloween. I am one of few people who did not like Friday the 13th. I watched it recently, and oh my god, that movie is so boring. Like, 90% of the movie is just you sitting there waiting for shit to happen. It's not even tense, because nothing happens for like half of the movie, and you're just sitting there going, is something gonna happen? Like, there's no atmosphere. It's just people wandering around an environment, and it's not interesting. And the few times it actually is tense, you just feel like, okay, that's it. There's nothing more than that. Maybe it's because I've become jaded to the fact that most slasher movies now are just obnoxious gore fests with like limbs and body parts flying off everywhere. So maybe that's why I didn't take this movie as well as most people, or maybe it's the fact that I didn't find the twist to be good even slightly. I found it to be I found the ending to be incredibly stupid, basically. I did not like Scream 2, but at least in Scream 2, it kind of made sense because, you'd been previously introduced. Debbie Salt was already introduced as a character, and although I found that her being Billy Loomis's mother was an asspull, because I'm sitting there thinking, well, wait, how do you know that? Like, I know, and that's one of the things that bothers me about that movie, is that how does she know this woman is Billy Loomis's mother? I know we probably talked about her, maybe she's seen family photos, but as far as we know, Billy's never, there's nothing concrete. She just goes, hey, Mrs. Loomis. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how do you know this woman is Billy's mother? Maybe they look similar, but other than that, I found that to be kind of an asshole. But at least in that movie, it made some sense because at least there, Debbie Salt was already introduced. And in this movie, it's just out of nowhere. Oh, this woman pulls up. Oh, she's Jason's mother. And I'm like, really? Like, how do you know? Like, especially how do you know? Because for all you know, this woman could be just some crazy psycho. In fact, I kind of think that might have been a better twist where she wasn't actually his mother. Like, he didn't know who she was. I don't know. And then in the second movie, it just devolves into him just running around killing people. And this franchise, I don't like that kind of movie. I don't like movies where you already know who the killer is. So I gave it some props for that, but it's just such a slow and boring movie. Anyway, Scream 1, one of my favorite slasher movies, great movie. Scream 2, shat all over the first movie. Barely any connection. All the characters made stupid decisions. I felt like they didn't even bother to. It was found it weird that Hallie replaced Tatum, and Sydney wasn't even bothered by this. She never even brought up the fact that basically they brought into someone to replace her best friend. I'm like, wait, who are you? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, what happened? Like, it's been 2 months and you've already replaced your best friend. Really? Like, that didn't seem very accurate to me, but that's low on the totem of this movie's problems. Anyway, stupid movie. 3, I actually really liked. I liked the idea that Ghostface was fucking with her through, with her emotions, basically, and I love the idea that, he could use other people's voices to manipulate her. I find that really, really cool. I like the ending. I like the twist. I like the deaths. And I like the fact that, Sydney just basically gets tired of it and is like, why don't you take some responsibility? For God's sakes, I've been through this twice, somebody take. I love that line where she just screams, why don't you just take some fucking responsibility? I love that. I thought that was really well done. The fourth movie was okay. I did not buy Jill as the killer even slightly, because I know the idea is that we're supposed to set her up as the victim, but it's made too, it was too on the nose for me. It was not even because I knew it was her, but because the way they went about it was just too on the nose for me. And I found their motivation was okay. I didn't hate their motivation. I didn't like the way they went about it, and I thought that, it didn't work for me. And the only thing I liked about that movie, it wasn't as bad as the second one, but the only thing I really liked about that movie is Kirby. And I'm so glad that they saved her, because in the fifth movie, at one point, which I'll get to in a minute, at one point, there is a, I don't know if it's a TV screen or something on the computer where it basically lists her as a Woodsboro survivor, and I'm like, oh my god, thank you. I was so scared because I loved her, and I think she was the best character in that movie, other than Nev, obviously. But it was so well done. And now the fifth movie, which I loved. I thought the fifth movie was really good. I love the deaths in this movie. I love the atmosphere. I love how tense it is. I love the fact that they're straying away from Nev being Sydney being the main character. I think that's very clever because, she had her time. Her story's wrapped and it's time for someone else to take the helm. And I think the idea of the new main character being someone who father is a literal serial killer is such a cool... I'm surprised slasher movies haven't done that before, where, the main character is a serial... Well, actually, no, Sweet 16 did that. Psycho Sweet 16, I thought that movie was... I thought it was basically just a gore fest, but a whodunit slasher, basically. Psycho Sweet 16 did that, but other than that, I can't think of another movie who did that. I think there are others, but I don't know. Anyway, I like Sam. I like her sister. I love some of the scenes. Like, I love the scene where, Tara is just Ghostface basically has, knocked her out of her chair, and she's, like, desperately for the door, and he's just kind of casually walking behind her. That was so creepy. And I just sat there and I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna kill her. And he's on the phone with Sam, just basically taunting her, and basically saying, I'm gonna kill your sister and there's nothing you can do. That was terrifying, honestly. And I love the fact that the first victim in this movie survives. She survives, and it was such a refreshing and interesting take, and that was something, I didn't expect that. I love every character in this movie. I do wish that one of the killers had been connected to Stu. Not one of the characters, one of the killers, because apparently one of the victims, the guy in the bar, when they were confronted by the guy in the bar, he was connected. He was Stu's nephew, but I wish Richie, one of the killers, had been Stu's nephew. I think that would have been much more interesting and much more clever, because, he had his same personality. He had his same psycho tendencies. So for him to, say that, your father was my dad's best friend, or my uncle's best friend, that would have been really, really just really creepy. Another thing there's something, though, that people haven't brought up, and the people who have brought up yet, I have vehemently argued with, because, they don't believe it, and they're like, oh, I don't think so basically, if you guys remember, there's the point in the movie where they get on the elevator, and Dewey's like, I'm gonna go back and check on him to make sure he's still alive, and they're all begging him to come back, and I am thoroughly convinced that was not his intention. I am thoroughly convinced that he was buying them time to get out, because if you've seen these movies, you know full well that these killers do not go down that easily. These killers, and he was still laying there when Dewey got there. So I am thoroughly convinced that Dewey knew full well that probably he was going on back up to his death. I am convinced of that. I'm convinced he was just giving them time to get away, because he knew that once he went up there, he wasn't coming back. But that's me personally. I know a lot of other people disagree with that, but that's just how I feel. I love the idea that Sam can see her father in the mirror when she's driving, and I like that he's not just goading her to kill people, because if your father's a serial killer, that would be really easy to do. He's goading her to do the right thing. He's goading her to that she's like him. But he's not just saying, go out and kill that person, which honestly would have been really stupid. I wish they'd done more with that, but I'm glad that they did something, and I hope that comes up more in the future, because I have a feeling there are going to be more Scream films in the future, and I'm so looking forward to it, because this film, I was losing hope with the last couple films, but this film is so good. And the final thing to note is that a lot of people complained about Amber's motivation, but I actually think the idea of committing a killing spree because you wanted to recreate Stab because you thought, because she's right, a lot of slasher movies nowadays they suck. They're mindless gore fest. They have no story. They have no they're just really stupid. So I think it's actually better motivation than the last movie. We want to be famous, okay? Well, that's that's it. You want to be famous? Like, I don't think that's much of a motivation. But anyway, and her Keth is probably now my favorite in the show, even in the franchise. My favorite originally was obviously Tatum's because that was really inventive, and I was like, oh my god, is she actually gonna, I expected when that happened for her to, like, snap her in half and have her, I expected that to be gory, but obviously I was wrong, they just left her hanging there. That was really, not only was it well done, but, I didn't expect them to just leave her hanging, and somebody finds her hanging there, and it's like, Oh, fun fact about that, and I know a lot of people have probably pointed it out by now, but Rose Byrne could actually fit through the dog door. Like, she could actually fit through that door, so when they were filming that scene, they actually had to staple it to her shirt so that she wouldn't go through because she could actually small enough to fit through the door, and she kept climbing through. So that was interesting. I love this movie. I think it's really good, but now we're going to move on to a couple of movies I did not love because I don't want to spend too much time talking about each movie. After that, I saw Death on the Nile. I have not seen the original. Not the original. I've seen the original. I have not seen Kenneth Branagh's version of Murder on the Orient Express. I am not a fan of Kenneth Branagh as Poirot. Not because I don't think he has the mannerisms. He nails the mannerisms. He's really good with the mannerisms. But because I just don't like how he looks physically. I think he's too skinny. And I think the mustache looks really stupid, honestly. But watching this movie, you realize that the problem with the movie is not the movie itself. The adaptation, in terms of adapting, it's really faithful. It's really well done in terms of an adaptation. The problem lies with the actual story going back to the actual book. The problem is that you realize very quickly who the killer is. Like, halfway through, you realize, this is who the killer is. Because when what's her face? Oh God, Jacqueline and Simon have a fight, and suddenly Jacqueline decides to pull a gun on him, and I'm sitting there going, wait, are you setting up that she shot him so that he can have an excuse? And they're setting up that she shot him so she had an alibi, because that was so on the nose, and it was sad because there were a lot of other subplots, like the nursemaid who was in love with her, her carer, and his friend who wanted to marry the girl who his mother didn't approve of, and his mother, and there was a lot of really, really good motivation in that story, and there were a lot of people who could have done it, which I absolutely would have bought having done it. And there was the doctor who I did not realize was played by Russell Brand. Russell Brand is actually a really good actor. I'm kind of shocked because, and I know a lot of people don't like him because he's an ass, but honestly, I really like him. I think he's very funny. And he's actually a really good actor because I would not have guessed that was Russell Brand, at all. I would not have pegged that because he did a really fucking good job in that movie. But yeah, so this movie, it's really faithful, but they picked the most obvious, the source material too picks the most obvious, blatantly clear suspect, and you're just sitting there through the rest of the movie going, can you just get to the point where he reveals that it's Jacqueline and Simon? I know I'm in, because it's blatantly fucking them. Also, and I'm not saying this to be mean, I love Gal. Gal, we love you. You're a very talented actress, but you play the same parts in every movie. I don't think she knows how to emote. That doesn't mean she's a bad actress. A lot of people think that means she's a bad actress, but no, it means she just has to pick which movies she can do because she doesn't really know how to emote or change her expression. She's a very good actress, but she plays basically the same character in every damn movie. And I don't know why she's not British. I found that very weird. I think in the original version she's British. I could be wrong, but I think I might go back and watch the original just to find out, but I think in the original version she's British. So I found that very weird that she wasn't British in this version. Other than that, mediocre movie. Very obvious. I would not recommend it. I will go back and watch the new Murder on the Orient Express because I really want to see it now. I really want to see if it's good. And I really want to see, if it holds up as much as the Albert Finney or because I'm a huge fan of David Suchet. I'm biased as hell. I loved David Suchet. So I'm extremely biased on that front. Other than that, the only other movie I've seen thus far, well, actually, no. I saw, was it in February? February. I think it was in February. I saw, because if you guys don't know, every year Bob Show does a series of movie riffs, including, Earwig and the Witch was, oh my god, that movie was agonizing. It was so boring. Like, first of all, Earwig, besides being a dumb name, is a completely just unlikable little shit. She's so rude. She's so bossy. She's so obnoxious. She spends the entire movie just ordering people around. She's nasty to the adults. She's nasty to the people. And there's no fucking plot. Like, her mother was in a band, and that's it. Like, she wants to learn magic, okay. And then her mother was in a band, and then they meet the band, and then that's it. The only enjoyment I got out of that movie was one of her friends looks like Lionel from Fancy Nancy. So I spent the entire movie being like, Earwig, stop picking on Lionel, because I can't remember his actual name, but he looks like Lionel from Fancy Nancy, and I found that really funny, because I fucking hate Fancy Nancy. I might do that at some point. I might go over all the cartoons. But anyway, this today is about movies. I will do cartoons and other media in another episode, but right now it's about movies. And the other one I watched I watched through Bob's Show, because I wouldn't have watched it on my own, is the new Lupin movie. It was serviceable. I've never particularly been a fan of Lupin. I don't remember a lot about it. There was something about a box, and a girl is hunting the box, and then they find, I don't remember a lot about it. And I'm especially kind of confused because now whenever I think of Lupin, I think of Code Realize. So that kind of makes it kind of difficult to remember this movie, because every time I hear that name now, I think of Code Realize and Cardia and her just, oh my god, and her just joyously psycho brother. If you've never seen that show, I love villains like that because they're just so venomous and so insane, and it's just so much joy. But I'm not here about that. I'm here about movies. And finally, the final movie I have watched thus far is Uncharted, and I picked this movie because it was between this and the Batman movie. And for reasons, essentially, I'm not watching DC movies until they put a certain character in those movies that, if you will have seen Young Justice Phantoms, you know who it is. But until he shows up in, not even in live action, but in animated canon, more animated canon, I'm not watching DC because they just haven't done enough with him, and I think he's fucking great because he's basically Loki with a cat, and you guys know exactly who I mean, but basically I'm not watching DC movies, and plus I've seen the trailers. It's really, I don't mind Edge, but this is not just Edge, this is stupid Edge. Like, the Riddler is not a fucking serial killer, and it's really dumb. Also, it's just me, or is the wig they put Catwoman in at one point really, really ugly and just ew? Like, no. Nope. I'm mostly a Marvel person anyway, so instead of that, I went to see Uncharted, and I should clarify to begin with that I am not actually a huge fan of the games. I think that they start out okay, and then they just add supernatural shit into them for no reason, and it just devolves into a platformathon with nothing else. It just, the third one, the one about the Lost City was good. I actually liked the villain. I actually think she was kind of interesting. But other than that, I get that they were going for a, what's it called, a prequel vibe. I think that they were going for a prequel vibe because Nathan Drake was younger and he was just meeting Sully for the first time. And I actually don't mind that. But my main gripe for this movie, like a lot of other people, was just how badly miscast they were. I understand, like, the prequel vibeness, so I can see Tom Holland, because mostly they got his character okay. And we're not even gonna talk, well, we will talk about her, but basically, if this were, I don't understand why Chloe was in this movie, because they don't meet her until, like, the third game, so it feels, so if they're going for a prequel vibe, they're just kind of Frankensteining a bunch of different movie clips. Like, a lot of the movie came from the third, like, the plane scene came from the third game, Chloe came from the third game, the plot somewhat came from the third game, the auction scene, so I don't understand how this was a prequel if most of the content came from game 3. Also, the fact, and honestly, well, before I get into that, let me just go back to, Tom Holland I could tolerate, but I don't understand why they picked Mark Wahlberg. I don't mind him as an actor, but that was not Sully. That was somebody else. That was somebody else entirely. Besides the fact that he looks nothing like him, that dude was such a pig. And keep in mind, in the games, Sully was supposed to be a father figure to him, and he treated him like a mentor. So why would you want to work with someone who's such an awful person? Like, he uses him, he turns on him, he leaves him to fend for himself. He's just such a shitty, nasty person. He lies to him about his brother, and even at one point, Nate himself is like, you're just awful. Why? Well, you're just a horrible person. Like, that's not Sully. That's not who Sully is. He's not that crappy. So I don't understand why they fucked him up so badly, and it really infuriates me, because they have because the chemistry they have is just so toxic. And like I said, Chloe was the best thing in this movie, but I mostly ignoring her because this is supposed to be a prequel, so they should not have met her yet. But the thing that I don't understand, and the thing I kept screaming throughout this entire movie was, and I don't know why a lot of other people weren't thinking this, where the fuck was Elena in this entire movie? Where was Elena? Like, Elena is a central figure in this whole damn franchise, and if you're gonna introduce Chloe into this movie this early, why not introduce, maybe she was the blonde at the end when Nathan was at the bar and he was talking to that lady, maybe, but I don't understand why you would just cut such a central figure from this movie. Why would you cut someone so important to him? She's the reason he starts having doubts about himself and his adventuring, because she wants him to settle down. It's dangerous, and he has to decide between her and and his adventures, and it causes a lot of conflicts. It causes a lot of really good conflict. Why would you cut that? Why would you cut his wife, the woman who he marries? Why would you cut her from the fucking movie? Honestly, out of everything in that movie, that bothered me most, because if you're going to do an adaptation of Uncharted, you need to do it properly. And you can't cut one of the major characters who is central to the franchise. You can't do it. You can't cut somebody who is that integral to the movie. The villain's motivations were flimsy. Basically, he wants to take over he wants to find this thing, and he has daddy issues. And then the girl, what's her face, Jo, I thought Jo was actually made from one of the game characters, but apparently not. But she kills him for, like, no particular reason. It's like, oh, I'm in charge now. And I know a lot of people complain about this, but I did like the scene in the auction house with Nathan Drake and the Scottish guy, because I actually think that was very in character. And unlike most people, I actually thought most of the running gags were actually funny. I liked the cat. The cat was very adorable. I liked how fluffy the cat was. And I just honestly wanted him to, like, bring the cat everywhere and make the cat, like, a huge running joke. And it was so, because it was an adorable cat, and I actually found that really funny. Unlike most people who just thought that was awful. But it was, honestly, the cat and the Scottish guy, I wish they'd used that joke more, because that was one of the few jokes I actually thought worked in this show, in this movie. I actually thought that worked in this movie. The thing is, this movie, if you hadn't labeled it Uncharted, I actually don't think it was that bad. The movie itself is actually decent. It's just that you labeled it, you stuck the label of something huge and very, 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 you made it a game adaptation, basically. And you made it a really not awful, but very badly done game adaptation, where you took a lot of elements that you could have easily turned into a great movie and just fucked them up. As an individual movie, it's decent, but as an Uncharted movie, it is just, I don't know what you were thinking. I don't know why you did this. We'll probably get another one because of how much this movie made, and because they set up a lot of things in this movie. But is there anything else? Because I'm trying to keep this from running too short, but I think this episode's going to be short, because that's pretty much the only things I've seen thus far. So this is basically just the introductory episode where, I went over what I'm doing, who I am. I will be from now on, movie, I still haven't decided whether anime movies will count in this. Probably not, because anime is going to be a separate thing. But that is it for today. Is there anything? I don't think there's anything else because I've gone over all the movies I've seen. I saw Encanto last year, so I'm not really going to talk about that. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to see Turning Red because I have a feeling it's just not going to be for me. That being said, movies to look forward to, I probably will see The Batman, not because I want to, but because I'm just going through all of them and I have free movie tickets, so I probably will see it. I can't expect to like it. I'm going to see Dog because Dog looks cute. I'm going to see X, that X-rated slasher movie, probably because I'm just morbidly curious. And I think that's it for now. I can't think of anything else that I've seen. I'm probably gonna keep movie. No, you know what? I'm not gonna keep movie episodes and cartoon episodes separate because I want this to be about everything. But I haven't really watched anything cartoon related lately. I've been binging Word Girl, but that is going to be something I talk about once I finish it because it is so good and so... There are some shows out there where you just sit there and think, what in the hell, what am I watching? What in the fuck? And you don't think it can get weird and weirder, but it gets weirder. And it gets weirder and weirder and weirder. It's really good, but that's going to be something for a later date. The only thing that I'm watching that's new is the Masked Singer is restarting. I'm surprised they didn't send Duff home after his head fell off because I thought people would see him and I thought they'd have to disqualify him, but apparently no. But officially, me talking about that is going to start on next week because I kind of sort of missed this episode because of how just late it was and how I didn't realize that the show had started. I do feel bad for Ken Jeong sitting next to Jenny McCarthy, but other than that, and plus it's slipped my mind now mostly. That was on Wednesday, but starting next week I will go over that and pretty much whatever else I can think of. That's actually pretty much all I'm watching right now. Oh, I haven't started Peacemaker yet. And the Owl House and Young Justice Phantoms have not come back yet. The only other thing is I'm trying to watch the new season of American Dad and it sucks. It's not funny, and I don't know whether it's because Seth is running out of ideas or it's just because I'm so jaded to this and it's not funny anymore. But that's it. That's it for now. Nothing else to talk about, so I think I'll probably see you guys on the next podcast because I don't have a co-host, so I don't have anything to bounce off other people yet, and I don't want to keep stalling. I don't want to hem and haw too much, so I will see you guys on the next podcast.